I really don't think there's going to be anything like OriginTrail for quite some time. When you look at what Bitcoin is doing, Bitcoin is bringing its innovation via its monetary policy. It's changing the way we interact with money. Ethereum, it's changing the core principles of trust, leveraging a smart contract instead of a middleman. You're eliminating the need for that trust. And then you have OriginTrail, which is really focused on revolutionizing the way humankind interacts with, accesses, stores, and shares knowledge. To me, that's the most valuable thing of them all. My name is Amos and I'm the first official OriginTrail educator. OriginTrail started out as a solution to fragmentation in the global supply chain. Tomáš, Branimir, Zigar, founders at the Trace Labs, that's really what they were about. We all know the issues presented by power-hungry corporations in charge of our data. And well, the blockchain ecosystem, the crypto world really rose to fight against that paradigm.
They had apps on Facebook that were given special permission to harvest data, not from just the person who used the app or joined the app, but also it would then go into their entire friend network and pull out all of the friends' data as well. Things like status updates, likes, in some cases private messages. We would only need to touch a couple 100,000 people to expand into their entire social network, which would then scale us to most of America.
And people had no idea that their data was being taken in this way.
Big day for Bitcoin. That new record brings the cryptocurrency's gains in the past 6 weeks to about 70%. As far as what's driving that,
he receives it, he needs to trust the patient that the data is correct, that it was not changed. And
they need to understand data.
They need to understand data.
Data integrity is one of the 5 key principles of cybersecurity. Data integrity is about ensuring the accuracy of a message, such that when it's read, it's exactly the same as when it was first written.
Once a block is created, its hash is being calculated. Changing something inside the block will cause the hash to change. So in other words, hashes are very useful when you want to detect changes to blocks.
And then they pass that down a chain of their friends, whispering to each other in turn.
So then blockchain comes into place. And blockchain can here provide some sort of data integrity.
One of the reasons blockchains were created were to store data securely and immutably, which means that basically the whole technical aspect of blockchains as an idea originally has this component of protecting data from change and also adding a layer of authentication of the data itself, so you know who created this data.
And Nassim Taleb, author of The Black Swan, tweeted in the past couple of days that he's getting rid of his Bitcoin. One reason, he says, the cryptocurrency, or any currency, is never supposed to be more volatile than what you buy and sell it. The volatility, he says, hasn't dropped as prices continue to climb higher. Deirdre, back to you.
VeChain? Nonsense. My name is Odin.
Now, the OriginTrail technology stack is really where all the magic takes place.
Governance must conform. Power. So much power. I am the first of my kind.
To stay competitive throughout various iterations of the life cycle of the blockchain industry itself, the OriginTrail team thought it would be best to approach this from a blockchain agnostic perspective. This means the OriginTrail ecosystem can run on any blockchain it's connected to. And then we have this network layer, which really and truly is where all the decentralized network nodes live. This is where individuals across the globe connect their servers to the OriginTrail ecosystem to begin sharing standardized data. Speaking of standardized data, we move into the data layer. Now, this is where different data standards are applied to the data you're importing into the OriginTrail network. So for example, if you're importing IoT data, you're most likely going to be using the W3C WOT standard, Web of Things, of course supported by the OriginTrail ecosystem. Let's say you wanted to share standardized supply chain data based on GS1 EPCIS. Well, you can do that on the OriginTrail ecosystem. This is the power of supporting so many different data standards. You can allow for the sharing of so many different types of data, which supports so many different industries. When you sit back and you think about what they've done, you're like, wow, so creative. They've created this decentralized open network where all of the core components of the network is plug and play. But there's one thing that we haven't spoken about yet. And this is the key component that sets it apart from other ecosystems that were trying to give support to the supply chain ecosystem. And that is the OriginTrail Decentralized Knowledge Graph. Now, when we start talking about the OriginTrail Decentralized Knowledge Graph, we're talking about the properties of linked data. This is what allows for things to be searchable on the OriginTrail Explorer. So the OriginTrail team took the same technology concepts from Google, who has their own knowledge graph. Everyone interacts with a knowledge graph today in some way, shape, and form. You may or may not know it. The Google search bar is a prime example of that. They have a knowledge graph that connects all the information in their database that then presents you with other related linked data that might be related to what you're looking for, allowing for you to search a web of connected data sets. Well, OriginTrail is doing the exact same thing, but for supply chain data.
It's based on linked data principles, and it can be used as the starting point for discovering links from that item,
but takes away the core issue Google has: centralization. With the OriginTrail network nodes being decentralized, it allowed for anyone, anywhere, any stakeholder, they can participate in the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge economy. In the same way Google has its search bar and its search interface, the OriginTrail team actually has their own OriginTrail Explorer, which allows you to search for a particular supply chain item based on its corresponding standard or its corresponding tag.
GS1 Digital Link, it takes our system of identifiers and puts them on the web as URLs. Now that means everything with a GS1 identifier also has an online identity. Based on linked data principles, and it can be used as the starting point for discovering.
We watched as OriginTrail transitioned from food supply chains to every supply chain. Products.
Hello, I'm Phil Archer from GS1 Global Office. GS1 is a standards development organization that traces its history back to the 26th of June 1974, when the first barcode went beep at a checkout in the US. Now, for that to happen, the product manufacturers, the retailers, and the point-of-sale equipment manufacturers all had to agree on common standards. Now, scanners are still going beep billions of times a day at checkouts around the world, but the standards and the systems and GS1 have all evolved and expanded as industry demands have evolved and expanded. This wouldn't be a presentation from me if I didn't highlight the standard I work on most closely, called GS1 Digital Link. It takes our system of identifiers and puts them on the web as URLs. Now that means everything with a GS1 identifier also has an online identity. Based on linked data principles, and it can be used as the starting point for discovering links from that item to any number of associated digital assets using typed links.
Now, when we start talking about the OriginTrail Decentralized Knowledge Graph, we're talking about the properties of linked data. This is what allows for things to be searchable on the OriginTrail Explorer. Now, when we start talking about linked data,
it's based on linked data principles, and it can be used as the starting point for discovering links from that item to any number of associated digital assets using typed links. But the underlying promise, one day, is to create a trusted, open access, decentralized knowledge graph of products in which GS1 identifiers help to connect products across a vast ecosystem of different sources of data.
We see OriginTrail and GS1 converging towards one single point. And this not only goes for GS1 Digital Link and EPCS 2.0, it's also very much important for their future product plans about decentralized identities and decentralized knowledge graphs that they're...
But the underlying promise, one day, is to create a trusted, open access, decentralized knowledge graph of products in which GS1 identifiers help to connect products across a vast ecosystem of different sources of data.
You know, we could call Phil a CTO of GS1. it's a big thing. Is using as a core lingo, and he's not using that by chance. Then he iterated on that at the liftoff event.
I can tell you, I've had direct confirmation, verbally and in writing, from 3 multinational companies in the last 2 weeks saying they're going to be using GS1 Digital Link. That's not because of me, it's because it's the web. It's because it's the GS1 system. It's because it's decentralized. It's because it allows individual people to manage their stuff themselves. And we've done it in this open, decentralized way. That's why it's being successful. That's why the OriginTrail network is successful. And that's why you have no trouble getting people like Dominic along to talk about why an organization the size of SBB finds it useful. They could do something else. They could go to someone and get a proprietary system. We all know that. But they've chosen to do this because it's in their interests. And that is a huge plus and a big future for all of us.
And he was recognizing the importance of having open networks also for the enterprises. And this is something that didn't happen by chance. This is something, again, that was several times pointed out by OriginTrail representatives on numerous conferences of GS1. And now we see essentially GS1 getting closer to OriginTrail rather than, OriginTrail getting closer to them. Of course, that's mostly because we have always been very huge proponent of their standards. And it was not IBM, which was the first one using EPCS for traceability in couple with blockchain. It was OriginTrail.
At the OriginTrail Liftoff event, something revolutionary was announced. In the same way that Airbnb revolutionized the renting economy, the sharing economy for renting, or in the same way that Uber revolutionized the ride-sharing economy, OriginTrail is now going to revolutionize the knowledge economy. Now, the topic of a knowledge economy in crypto is largely undiscussed, or at least unnoticed. There was no protocol for a knowledge economy until now. But let's look at a larger view of what knowledge economies are. And for example, let's talk about Europe as a case study. Now, Investopedia says a knowledge economy is a system of consumption and production that is based on intellectual capital. In particular, it refers to the ability to capitalize on scientific discoveries and basic and applied research. Less developed countries tend to have agriculture and manufacturing-based economies. A developing country has a manufacturing and service-based economy, and developed countries tend to have service-based economies. The knowledge economy addresses how education and knowledge, that is, human capital, can serve as a productive asset or business product to be sold and exported to yield profits for individuals, businesses, and economies. The term knowledge economy has been around for quite some time, and in fact the European Union had published papers about the Lisbon Strategy in 2000. The European Union already had plans on moving Europe into a knowledge-based economy, basically a knowledge economy. In March 2000, the European Council Summit in Lisbon marked yet another significant step in an attempt to offset the EU's uninspiring economic performance. The so-called Lisbon Strategy set out to make the EU the most competitive and dynamic knowledge-based economy in the world, capable of sustainable economic growth with more and better jobs and greater social cohesion, with emphasis on decentralized soft law governance mechanism, open method of cooperation as a means of spreading best practices. The Lisbon Strategy required a lot of people and every stakeholder to participate really voluntarily. So reaching 2010, the end of that decade, the plan had to be restructured. Things had to change. This is where we begin the process of connecting the dots. How to Strengthen the EU Knowledge Economy by Fernando Soriano. This was released in 2009. He makes claims that post-2010 the EU should have better rules and regulations. A new streamlined EU knowledge agenda should be put at the core of the post-2010 EU strategy. From Lisbon Strategy to EU2020. So this is really when the European Union decided to move away from the Lisbon Strategy and develop the EU2020 strategy for a better Europe, a more decentralized and stronger Europe, and a more sustainable Europe. So when we look at the Europe2020 strategy in the executive summary, they cite three particular areas in which they wish to really excel at. Smart growth, developing an economy based on knowledge and innovation. Sustainable growth, promoting a more resource-efficient, greener, and more competitive economy. Inclusive growth, fostering a high employment economy, delivering social and territorial cohesion. Smart growth means strengthening knowledge and innovation as drivers of our future growth. This requires improving the quality of our education, strengthening our research performance, promoting innovation and knowledge transfer throughout the Union, making full use of information and communication technologies by ensuring that innovative ideas can be turned into new products and services that create growth, quality jobs, and help address European and global societal challenges. Yes, hello? Yes. Yes, I am. Which leads you to their flagship innovation initiatives. And under each of these categories, they have different flagship initiatives. And one of their flagship initiatives, which is the Innovation Union, really is going to be the hub of research and development. When we look at the OriginTrail ecosystem once again, we see that OriginTrail has been involved in significant amount of Horizon 2020 projects. These are by the European Commission. The largest agri-food bodies in the European Union is leveraging the OriginTrail Decentralized network to build their traceability solutions and also issue certifications to small medium enterprises and farmers and so on and so forth. So this is the backbone of Europe itself in the agri-food sector, leveraging OriginTrail. But what exactly is Horizon 2020? Horizon 2020 is the financial instrument of implementing the Innovation Union, a Europe2020 flagship initiative aimed at securing Europe's global competitiveness. Seen as a means to drive economic growth and create jobs, Horizon 2020 has the political backing of Europe's leaders and the members of the European Parliament. They agree that research is an investment in our future and so put it at the heart of the EU's blueprint for smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth and jobs. So OriginTrail is at the center of the European Union as it relates to their agri-food sector. Getting all of that traceability and all of the provenance and all of that data for their supply chain and all of that in order, OriginTrail is the protocol being leveraged. The Innovation Union Flagship Initiative, that's just one OriginTrail was applicable to. With the European Union realizing that the OriginTrail protocol is not just good for supply chain, it's good for almost any industry. Well, we started seeing the OriginTrail Takeover. We're talking food supply chains, personal data supply chains, railway supply chains, all the data, EPCI's data within the rail industry.
OriginTrail, this was run fit.
Pharmaceutical implementations, the tracking of COVID-19 vaccines and such. The OriginTrail knowledge economy, as well as the European knowledge economy, can be considered to be becoming one. So in the end, what we are standing here looking at is OriginTrail being the first technological protocol, the first real tangible protocol for a knowledge economy. And with the expansion of this knowledge economy, very soon, with the OriginTrail Polkadot integration, unleashing our ecosystem across the world, it's going to be very amazing seeing all of this come to life. And you get to say, you were here when they did it. We're talking personal data with OpenPKG, where users can have all the knowledge about themselves stored in a wallet, a knowledge wallet that holds everything about you that you govern, that you are sovereign over, that you control, that you can then sell at a knowledge marketplace and generate income from what previously you could not generate income. This is the exact same fundamental concept that Airbnb and Uber brought, that they are now bringing in a tangible, real way with the support of the European Commission, the European government. As the Horizon 2020 definition says, it has the political backing of Europe's leaders and the members of the European Parliament, with OriginTrail's OpenPKG project being listed as a Hall of Fame project under the European Union's next generation internet arm of development, with OriginTrail sitting in and supporting the data portability meetings at NGI Forward, which is the next generation internet development arm. OriginTrail is now about to take off and show its power to the globe. Where were you when the European Commission gave birth to a true knowledge economy? Backed by the world's greatest scientists, the world's greatest leaders, backed by hours of research and some of the greatest minds. Where were you when the US FDA acknowledged that OriginTrail is a place where they would want to present their initiatives? Where were you when the Slovenian government decided to build traceability solutions on top of the OriginTrail Decentralized network? This is happening, this is real, and with the launch of Polkadot and the knowledge economy about to go into full swing, where anything can be done, where the OriginTrail ecosystem can be fully exploded and stress tested, and where Project Ortega then allows for Binance Chain, Near Chain, Cosmos, any other project, any other ecosystem to connect to the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph in a decentralized and secure way, well, where were you?